Guys, what's up? Darcy here at Six Strings Nine Lives. Previously on the channel, I did a couple of videos. The first one was my top 10 thrash metal bands and my favorite album from them. Then I continued a couple months later with my top 10 traditional metal bands and my favorite album from them. And not only did I show my favorite album, but I talked a little bit about, when I got into a band, and I showed one other, maybe a key album or, a key something related to those bands. So what I thought I would do today is kind of continue down that road. But today I'm going to do my top 5 glam metal bands. Why only 5? Well, I have a huge, history with these bands, and I'd actually like to talk a little bit more in depth about these 5 bands, just because I don't really actually talk that much about glam metal, or you wouldn't be offending me if you said hair metal. I don't give a shit. We know what we're talking about, and I've said it for probably 2,000 times. Back in the day, we didn't label everything. We just listened to metal. We listened to metal. We listened to hard rock. We didn't make a big fuss about it. But anyways, I thought I would pick just my 5 favorite glam metal bands that I grew up with. I could easily make this list longer, and I will continue this series with the glam metal. There's going to be bands, and just remember, it's my top 5. I would love to hear your top 5 glam metal. I was trying to think about, there is bands in here that they kind of straddle the line. Are they glam? Are they shock rock? Were they metal turn glam? Like Twisted Sister, for example. Their first couple albums, they're just metal, and then you get into Stay Hungry and Come Out and Play, definitely more glam. But I'm sure we could, everybody understands. But there's other bands, Alice Cooper had a glam phase. Where do you put Wasp? I don't really actually consider Wasp glam. Yes, they are definitely one of my favorite bands from the 80s, but are they glam? Let me know in the comments. But I'm going to show you today my top 5. We'll start off with, and we'll work our way up. We'll start with 5 and work our way to 1 this time. I know some people have said, the 1 to 10 wasn't as exciting or anticlimactic. So let's go 5 to 1. Lots of bands that I grew up with. I am 56 years old, so right in the heyday, 82, 83, 84, 85, 80, those, that 80s into the early 90s. All these bands featured in my life, and yeah, we got into the heavier stuff like the thrash and traditional, and finally, as an older guy, I've even got into some death metal. But let's start off with my number 5 favorite glam metal band and my favorite album from them. And what I'll do is show you a little bit, 1 or 2 extra little items pertaining to that band that maybe you'll think it's cool. But number 5, coming in at number 5 is Cinderella. And there is absolutely my favorite album from Cinderella. This is actually in my top 50 favorite albums of all time, for sure. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's probably in the top 10 or 12. But Cinderella Night Songs, 1986, fantastic. And the one thing about these bands, and maybe I'll remind you again in the middle of the video, unique vocalists, okay? Not the best, classically trained singers, but these guys fit these bands. Whether they're considered a great singer or not, they fit these bands. I think, maybe one of these bands had a vocalist change over time, but we'll get to that. But this album, classic 80s glam hair metal. I mean, I do get them where they say hair, but I mean, it's just teased up hairspray, whatever. I don't get too bent out of shape if I hear that term, but we'll just stick with glam metal. And some of it's bordering on hard rock, but we're all smart enough to know what I'm talking about. So, and the one thing I'll mention too is that these bands, I'm only showing you 5 today, and what you notice right away is the lack of output. There was a period where these guys were red hot. These 5 bands only have a total of 39 studio albums, whereas take my traditional metal one, it was like 120 I know it was 10, so even if you times this one by 2, that's only 78. But if you took the traditional metal one, it's 50 more studio albums, because a lot of the traditional metal bands that I listen to, actually probably 9 out of 10 on that list, and even the thrash ones, probably 10 out of 10 of those bands are all still going. Now, a couple of these bands are still going, but new music, nothing, virtually nothing. One of them, actually. So let's keep rolling, but here's the one if you've missed this came, what? So 80, Cinderella, 86, 88, 90, then we had a 4-year gap till this came out. Still Climbing, 1994. So if you kind of cashed out at Heartbreak Station, definitely get back on the bus on this one. This is a fantastic album. Tom, again, unique voice, absolutely love him. Great band, with Eric and Jeff LaBar, rest in peace. And but anyways, check this one. I don't think, and who, Fred Corey is, or Courtney Corey is not on this. Well, I think he's on one song. Actually, I think Kenny Aronoff does the drums on this one. But yeah, two key tracks to check out on this. My favorites, which are the title track is just classic Cinderella. It reminds me a lot of Night Songs. Going into the other two albums, you know what they are, but and Blood from a Stone. Check that one out. Out of these 5 bands I'm going to show you today, 4 out of 5 I own box sets for. Through, and you know what, I guess the common denominator on these box sets is BMG. They literally buy up catalogs, and they reissue stuff. And so if you're ever like saying, enough with the first 5 Mötley Crüe albums, enough, this is bullshit already, the band doesn't have a lot of control. Now, if you sell your catalog, or the rights to your catalog have been acquired by a company as big as BMG, they're going to do what they want, and they're going to recover their investment. So don't blame the band. Your option is don't buy it. Buy one set of reissues, and whether you buy all the box sets and stuff, that's up to you. But bitching about it isn't going to help anything. But moving on, let's move on. And Cinderella is the only band out of this who don't have a box set. So that's on my box set wish list. Whether it's called the Mercury Years, which is all they ever were on, the 4 studio albums. I know they have some live material and stuff through, some of those other labels that aren't the greatest, like Deadline and Cleopatra. I don't put a lot of stock into that kind of stuff, but the 4 albums they did on Mercury, perfect. Moving on to my number 4 is Winger. And here's my favorite album from Winger. This is Pull from 1993. Absolutely love this album. This is the last album that you would see. You would not see Winger again for 13 long years. For me, these guys took a bad rap, and you know what? They just really never quite weathered the storm. But this is the one band who is still making. I shouldn't say that, because there was one more. This is one of the 2 bands that are still making new music. And their newest album here, which is what I'm going to hold up. But anyways, Pull. Just check out Down Incognito. That was a hit single for sure. Love that song. One of their heaviest tracks ever is Junkyard Dog, Tears of a Stone. In for the Kill, No Man's Land, Like a Ritual. This is just awesome top to bottom. I've never done a ranking yet on some Winger stuff, and I'll tell you why in a second. But at least you know my number 1. I guess why I haven't is a couple of their albums are quite hard to get. I don't own 2006 4, and I don't own 2009's Karma. So if there's anybody out there watching this video and has something for sale, I gladly would purchase it off you. I do have access to a post office box in the United States. Also, if that helps, if anybody's watching out there. But get a hold of me if you have those 2 albums on CD. I would be interested in like the Frontiers, you know, original CDs, definitely let me know. But here's the one I wanted to mention. Oh, I forgot to show you one other thing too, but I'll show you in a second. This came out in 2023, Winger 7. So like I said, if you add up all these albums, the output's not a lot, but this band is still just, the musicianship on this album and virtually all 7 of the Winger albums are just their next level. This was one of my favorite albums. I actually had a good laugh at a comment. A guy says to me, because I'm doing my top, what did I do? Top 15 of 2023. He goes, "You're the only guy that has shown Winger as one of your top albums and Cattle Decapitation." I just started laughing. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, that's the range right there. So anyways, if you haven't checked out this one from 2023, Kip Winger, Reb Beach, the whole, and you know, back with Paul Taylor came back to the band on this one, so they're a 5-piece. Just, yeah, this is, and contains one of my favorite songs, Winger songs period, which is It All Comes Back Around. It is the last track on the album. Oh, I could listen to that over and over. I actually wish that's what this album was called. It would have made a better title than just 7. And they definitely need to move on from this, the Phoenix cover artwork, but at least they brought back their original logo, which is cool. Anyways, Winger number 4. And this box set is still available. I've had this one for well over a year. The price has come down about $20 Canadian. So it's, you know, keep your eye on it. It's not, you know, selling like crazy, but this one contains their first 3 albums and then a demo anthology, which the demos are awesome too. They're very, man, they almost could just go on an album. They're that good. But yeah, keep your eye out for that if you're interested in that Winger box set. Any of the box sets that I talked about or pertaining to 4 out of 5 of these bands, I've done individual videos on them. So if you want to go check out a Mötley Crüe box set or whatever, just, you know, dig through the old 6 Strings archives. The one thing I forgot to show you for when we were talking about Cinderella is I've only got to see them one time. It was on the Heartbreak Station tour, $24.50 with special guest. And that special guest, I still have the flyer that I cut out of the paper way back when. The special guest was Slaughter. Fantastic show on the Heartbreak Station tour. My least favorite album of their 4 albums, but still some really good tracks on there. Super bluesy, that album, but yeah, $24.50 to go to a concert. Nowadays, you can barely buy a beer for that. But so moving on to number 3. Do I have everything sorted out here? I do. Number 3, and leading the pack with 12 studio albums, is Dokken, and there's, you know, various lineups and stuff with Dokken. But here is, did I say? Yeah, I definitely, yes, I said Pull is my favorite Winger album. Sorry. Here is my favorite album from Dokken. There's my original cassette, which, you know, the cassette, if you know this cover, this is the cassette cover version. Came out, when did this one come out? 1984. So this is, to me, this is when Dokken really got that sound down. Nothing against Breaking the Chains, but this is where it's at for me, for sure. So this is up there. I know a lot of other people would put this as their favorite, and I wouldn't argue that. Back for the Attack. Fantastic. That's my number 2 anyways. But and here's my original vinyl for Tooth and Nail. So yeah, there's the 2 different covers. Dokken, love Dokken. And yeah, Heaven Comes Down. So Don Dokken put out an album, when was it now? 2024. Really good album too. You know, not the George Lynch, and you know, Don's the only remaining member. And again, Don, here's another guy with a unique voice, soulful, just fits this music perfect. But yeah, classic, great album containing my favorite Dokken song of all time, which is, where are we? Into the Fire. Sorry, almost lost it. It's hard to read. Anyways, Into the Fire, my favorite Dokken song and my favorite Dokken album. So I will set this stuff aside. And what else can I show you about Dokken? I'm going to show you a later album, which a little bit related to Winger, because Reb Beach is on this one. So if you've ignored anything past Back for the Attack, or kind of, you know, the cutoff for a lot of people was the live album Beast from the East, and then maybe they tried Dysfunctional and found out that album was just okay. I'm not going to shit all over it, but I mean, there is worse Dokken than Dysfunctional, but try this one. Erase the Slate. You have 3 out of 4 original, what I call original, the classic lineup, let's just say. You got Mick Brown and Jeff Pilsen, Don, and then you have Reb Beach on guitar right here from Winger. This is really good. If you, yeah, I don't know, it just sounds like Dokken to me for sure. And the vocals, awesome. And there is actually, well, one day I will do, I still have not done a Dokken ranking. I do have that Dokken box set, which is pretty bare bones. I will tell you that out of these box sets I'll show you, that Winger one kicks that Dokken box set's ass. But like I said, just go through some of my older videos and check out those box sets if you want. But in the meantime, check out Erase the Slate if you've missed some later Dokken. And one band that will probably make the list later, past number, you know, probably 6 through 10 for sure, is Poison. But here's a band that I got to see open for Poison and pertaining to Dokken. So this is Don Dokken's first, I don't know if it's actually his very first solo album, but anyways, Up From the Ashes. This one came out in, what year did this come out? I can hardly see any of this right, 1990. And what this, basically for all intensive purposes, this is an all-star band. He has Mickey D on drums, John Norm on guitar, another guitar player, I'm not quite as familiar with him, Peter Baltes from Accept and now UDO fame. I'm sure they probably got hooked up way back in the day with, you know, through Michael Wagner when Don was in Germany. But Peter Baltes and who else do we got here? Yeah, Mickey D, like I said, John Norm. Just a killer lineup, and I got to see them open for, I think, Poison. Well, for Poison was the headliner, and then we had Warrant and Don Dokken, same on that bill. So this was pretty cool. So if you've never checked out this might as well just be a Dokken album. It's that good. Up From the Ashes. So check that one out. All right, so that's it for Dokken. My number 3. My number 2 is Mötley Crüe, a longtime fan. And yes, this is one of the bands where they're churning out the box sets. They're what they did with these reissues and box sets too is Mötley started off with they reissued everything on black vinyl. Then they did a colored box set, and they, as in they, what I mean is BMG, because they control all 4 of these box sets that I'm going to show you. And then you got the Dokken one. They did black vinyl and then colored. The Ratt box set, they did all black vinyl and then they did all colored. Winger, black vinyl, all colored. So it's going to hit you 3 or 4 times. So if you're only waiting out for a certain one album, just wait it out. So if you are interested in a Cinderella set, I'm sure it will come. And you'll be able to get that one that you're missing. Maybe you're missing Still Climbing or whatever. But moving on, like Mötley Crüe. So here's something I picked up a while back. This is Mötley Crüe 40 years, 40th anniversary cassette box set. It's kind of just flips. It flips open. It holds all the cassettes in here, which I've taken out. But yeah, I still buy things. You know, I don't buy every box set and things, or I don't have the Shout at the Devil or the Dr. Feelgood anniversary one. But I do watch a lot of people, or watch a lot of videos with those. But those just, I felt they just didn't have enough value in it. But as far as this one goes, I mean, value, this is just pure nostalgia for me. I'll show you all the cassettes, which you probably have originals sitting at home. All these classic albums, Too Fast for Love, Shout at the Devil, my introduction. I remember the days clear as can be over at a friend's house a lot, because his dad actually let us drink beer, sneak beer, without, he knew we were sneaking it, but he just let us have it anyways. But put on In the Beginning came on, and then into that, and then shout. I was hooked right after that. So this would have been my first new release, Theater of Pain. I saw them on this tour. Or did I? Yes, I did. And then I saw them on the Girls tour, which, where do I have that? That was a cool show. Here's my original ticket, because the opener for that was Whitesnake, which, you know, if I continue on this video with these glam bands and whatever you want to say, Whitesnake definitely could appear on there. There's a period of Whitesnake of 3 albums that I would consider, that would, you know, I would talk about, and this is Whitesnake just before they just exploded. This is 87. They're on their 1987 album. You know, they have the full lineup from all the videos, things like that. But what did we pay for this? $21. So I was actually had to do some traveling back then. This one was in Edmonton, Alberta. And like I said, that was on the Girls tour. And then way many years later, when I bought this book, The Heroin Diaries, I turned to this date, October 18th, 1987, or the night before. And this is right in that period where you're talking, they're literally injecting Jack Daniels into their penis. They're just, I actually, thinking back, how did I even see a show? How did they function? But I guess that's how they did function. But pretty cool to see Whitesnake open for Mötley Crüe back in the day. Never forget it. And yeah, lots of shit in this book. I'll tell you, if you've ever read that, it's pretty interesting. And then on to Dr. Feelgood. So you know those first 5 albums. But what I will always talk about and have no problem talking about is their 1994 album with John Corabi. And this is where, well, BMG still owns the rights for the rest of their catalog. So you got this, New Tattoo, Generation Swine, and then Saints of Los Angeles, which I would love to see reissues for all of those. I don't know if they'll do just a box set of the 4 or release them individually. But this is a great album. And yes, I know it's some fans don't like it. It's not the Mötley Crüe that I want to listen to, but this, if you actually just listen to this thing, it's a longer album, but it is the most, let's say, grown-up Mötley Crüe ever was. The songwriting is excellent. John Corabi's vocals are excellent. And the one edge that I feel like that Mötley Crüe has is a guy named Mick Mars, and that this band would not be where it is today, especially on those first 5 albums. I know Mick's about 10 years older than everybody in the band, but what a guitar tone, what a guitar player. I just think he's, that sound is Mötley Crüe. I know the other 3 guys make up the craziness of the band, but without Mick Mars, there's no great early Mötley Crüe. I'll put it that way. But and as far as like spin-offs or anything like that, I think I once owned Vince Neil's first album, Exposed, but after that I think he only has maybe 3 to 4 studio albums. Just don't have a lot of interest in that stuff. But moving on to my number 1, and I've already mentioned it through the video. And did I? You know what? I did not even tell you my favorite Mötley Crüe album. Right there, Shout at the Devil. I guess you kind of picked up on it when I talked about that was my introduction. Love that album. So many memories with that. On to my favorite of the glam bands. Number 1 for me, and always has been, is Ratt. 7 album discography. I wouldn't say it's a spotless discography. There's one weak link on there. But this one, this is my number one, but I will tell you the one that you probably say is your number one is it's my 1A, my 1B. I just love both of these albums, but what I love mostly about this one, I mean, Warren DeMartini absolutely shines. You know the dual leads with Robin Crosby. Stephen Pearcy's absolutely unique voice. Juan Crochet, great backup vocalist too, great drummer, Bobby Blotzer. But just the production on here is just superb. And this album cover isn't too shabby. I remember staring at this album as a young guy. And here's the other album that I'm talking about, which you obviously know, Out of the Cellar. So I picked up that one. I just picked up to show you is this one, the Out of the Cellar 40th anniversary, which included, I bought it, I wanted it, but I wanted this. This is Reach for the Sky. This is the 7-inch single that was not, it was done for the Out of the Cellar sessions. And this song is absolutely a time warp right back to 1983 or 84. And just love this song. I probably listened to this song 100 times, and I would not be exaggerating, but great album cover too. So Ratt, what else can I show you about Ratt? Well, their comeback, I guess their latest effort that they ever put out was way back in 2010, Infestation. 3/4 of the original band, and then you got Carlos Cavazo on from Quiet Riot on second guitar, which I just read that he is going to go out with Warren and Steven, along with Blas from Slaughter and Matt Thor from, what band was he in? Rough Cut or something? But they're going to go do some touring just under the name of Pearcy and DeMartini, so that'll be cool. I hope they get some new music going. But Infestation, actually the first three to four tracks here, Eat Me Up Alive and stuff, just classic Ratt. So this is already 15 years old, but if you've never heard it, check this one out. And then, yeah, there's a couple of my original cassettes of just two classics right there. 1A and 1AA, whatever you want to say. And then a couple of things I could recommend to you if you do like Ratt sounding stuff is two solo albums that came out back to back. This, I think, was 2017. This is Stephen Pearcy, Smash, and Stephen Pearcy, A View to a Thrill. Both really, really good albums, and he sounds awesome on there. I think there's something in the works with Stephen releasing some of his earlier works and kind of like a little, I don't know if it'd be a box set or anything, but kind of a compilation of a bunch of his stuff that came before these two. But if you've never checked out these and you're, big Ratt fan, like I said, highly recommend those. But there is my top 5 for now. I will continue on with this. There's many more bands that fit this, video category, whatever that I can talk about. And again, leave it in the comments. I'd love to know your top 5, at least your top 5, whatever. Tell me your favorite from, kind of the glam era, the hair metal, whatever you want to do. But thanks again, as always, for commenting, watching. I always appreciate it, and I always look forward to it. So hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, stay heavy.